Yes,
Thank,
doctor. Yes, it's
thank
clear.
you.
Thank you,
Okay,
doctor.
okay, thanks a lot. Good morning, everyone. It's truly an honor to be in this workshop today. First and foremost, I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to Dr. Lubna and all the hardworking teachers who made this workshop possible. Your dedication and effort have created a wonderful platform for us. Thank you. And my name is Chui Runyuan. Today, I will present an overview of design and development research, DDR, a systematic approach for researchers. And I encourage you all to engage with questions or discussions as we proceed. Okay, firstly, the title is Overview of Design and Development Research. Actually, I have already utilized this method in my doctoral thesis writing. Today, I will introduce from each aspects. The first aspect is Introduction to DDR. Do you know what is DDR? Okay, okay, yeah. Actually, DDR, it is not very clear to us all. But however, if we just learn it together, we will see actually all the thesis writing might use this method. DDR, it means design and development research. As for the definition of it, we can see Rich and Klein define DDR as a systematic study of design, development, and evaluation processes with the aim of establishing an empirical basis for the creation of instructional and non-instructional products and tools, and new or enhanced models that govern their development. That is the definition. Therefore, we can know DDR actually means design and development research. Actually, DDR might be similar to action research. However, there are many differences. DDR research allows instructional designers a pathway to test theory, models, and frameworks and to authentic practice. As for the difference between DDR and traditional research, let's have a check in this part. It's different with traditional method because it emphasizes practical application and iterative improvement. While traditional research often seeks to generalize findings, DDR is context-specific and aims to solve immediate educational problems. DDR is more action-oriented and involves stakeholders directly in the research process. Actually, my research background is English education, so I will focus on DDR in education. Why DDR matters in education? DDR is crucial in education because it provides a structured framework for educators who develop and refine teaching materials and methodologies. By focusing on the practical application of educational theories, DDR helps in creating learning experiences that are engaging, relevant, and impactful. In the educational context, DDR plays a crucial role in enhancing teaching and learning by providing educators with tools to design, develop, and evaluate educational interventions. The first part for DDR in education is the curriculum development. DDR is instrumental in curriculum development as it helps educators design curricula that are aligned with learning outcomes and pedagogical goals. By using DDR, educators can systematically develop and refine curriculum components to ensure they are effective and relevant. The second part is about teaching methodologies. DDR contributes to the development of teaching methodologies by providing a structured approach to designing and evaluating instructional strategies. Educators can use DDR to test and refine teaching methods, ensuring they are evidence-based and are effective in promoting student learning. The next part is in educational technology. In the realm of educational technology, DDR is essential for creating and improving digital tools and resources. It ensures that educational technologies are developed with a clear understanding of user needs and are evaluated for their effectiveness in the enhancing learning experiences. DDR is also very important in student learning outcomes. DDR helps in assessing and improving student learning outcomes by focusing on the design and evaluation of educational interventions. It provides educators with data-driven insights into what works and what doesn't, allowing for continuous improvement in teaching and learning. Okay, that is DDR in education. Actually, I have not asked which field are you going to research. Hello, can you hear me, ladies and gentlemen? Okay, that's great. I know Miss Wang, your field is also English education. Maybe you can use DDR in your thesis writing. Thank you. That is DDR in education research. And actually, my thesis have already utilized one module in DDR, that is ADDIE. The ADDI module and design and development research, DDR, are both frameworks used in instructional design, often in conjunction with each other, particularly in the development of educational products and programs. ADDI, which stands for Analyze, Design, Development, Implement, and Evaluate, is a foundational model for creating effective learning experiences. As for the relationship between DDR and ADDI, DDR, on the other hand, focus on the research and the development of creating learning experiences, often utilizing ADDI as a guiding framework. In my thesis writing, I have already utilized ADDI in the DDR process. Okay, as for the ADDI module, there are 5 phases in the framework. The first is analyze, second is design, next develop, and then implementation. The last part is evaluation. It serves as a guide for building effective training and performance support tools in a systematic and logical manner. As for ADDI in the DDR process, DDR often incorporates the ADDI module to ensure a comprehensive approach to educational intervention development. Each phase of ADDI provides a structured framework for educators to follow, from identifying learning needs to evaluating the effectiveness of the intervention. Okay, and the advantages of ADDI in DDR includes this part. The use of ADDI in DDR offers several advantages. The first one is clear structure for the development process, and then a focus on user needs. The next one is a systematic approach to evaluation. It helps educators stay organized and ensures that all aspects of the intervention are considered. That is the advantage of ADDI. As for the DDR research methodologies, okay, here I have one question. Do you know how many research methodologies are there in our thesis writing or paper writing? Ladies and gentlemen, who can tell me how many research methodologies are there in our thesis writing or paper writing? Okay, I cannot find out where is your, wait a minute. Oh, I think maybe it might be very clear for us because actually we have already utilized some of the very Okay, the very commonly used research methodologies. The first one might be questionnaires, right? Maybe most of you have already utilized questionnaires in your paper writing or thesis writing. Questionnaire, yes, of course. Thank you, Miss. Questionnaire, yeah. Questionnaire, it is narrative, yeah. It is, okay, let's have a check. Okay, we will have a check. Actually, there are quantitative, qualitative, and mixed method research threads. As for the questionnaire, it is quantitative research, right? Okay, so as for DDR research methodologies, we will just introduce it from three parts. The first one, it is about the quantitative research. Quantitative research in DDR often employs structured data collection techniques such as surveys, and this one, we just talk about it, questionnaires, right, and standardized tests. These methods allow educators to gather numerical data that can be quantified and analyzed statistically. For instance, a teacher might distribute a multiple choice questionnaire to students to assess their understanding of a particular subject, ensuring that the data collected is uniform and comparable across all participants. That is quantitative research in DDR. As for the quantitative statistical analysis is a cornerstone of quantitative DDR, enabling educators to interpret the numerical data collected. Techniques such as descriptive statistics, correlation analysis, and regression analysis are commonly used to identify patterns, trends, and relationships within the data. This analysis provides educators with objective insights into educational outcomes and helps in making data-driven decisions to improve teaching and learning practices. As for the advantages of quantitative DDR, quantitative DDR offers several advantages, including the ability to measure large samples, provide precise results, and facilitate replication of studies. It allows educators to generalize findings to broader populations and make predictions based on statistical trends. Additionally, quantitative research often yields concise, clear-cut answers that can be easily communicated and understood. And next part is about the another research method. It is qualitative research, right? The first one is semantic research. Qualitative research in DDR employs techniques such as interviews, focus groups, and observations to gather rich descriptive data. This method allows educators to delve into the subject experiences of students and teachers, providing insights into their thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. For example, a teacher might conduct in-depth interviews with students to understand their perspectives on a new teaching method. As for the data collection methods or techniques, as we can see, it involves the identification, analysis, and the reporting of patterns or themes within the data. This process helps educators to interpret the underlying meanings and the context of the information gathered. By coding and categorizing data, educators can draw conclusions that inform the development of more effective educational practices. As for its advantages, qualitative DDR excels in providing in-depth understanding and detailed descriptions of educational phenomena. It allows educators to explore complex issues and uncover insights that might be missed by quantitative methods. The flexibility of qualitative research also enables educators to adapt their approach as they gain new insights from the data. The last one is mixed method approach. Actually, I have already utilized this method in my thesis writing. Because it's mixed method, so it will combine quantitative and qualitative research methods. The mixed method approach in DDR integrates both quantitative and qualitative research techniques, providing a comprehensive understanding of educational phenomena. By using both numerical data and descriptive insights, educators can address research questions from multiple perspectives. For example, a study might use surveys to gather quantitative data on student performance and interviews to understand the qualitative factors influencing their success. As for the synergy in DDR, the synergy achieved through mixed methods research allows educators to capitalize on the strengths of both quantitative and qualitative approaches. This methodological integration can lead to more robust findings and enhance the availability and reliability of DDR. It also enables educators to explore the complexities of educational contexts and develop more holistic interventions. And there are also some advantages of mixed method DDR. It offers advantages such as enhanced comprehensiveness, the ability to triangulate findings, and a more nuanced understanding of educational phenomena. It allows educators to address research questions from multiple angles, providing a richer, more detailed picture of the educational landscape. Part 3 is about the types of DDR. As we can see, DDR is constantly evolving and expanding as technology and media are changing at exponential rates. Ritchie and Clem in the seminal work divided the DDR into two major categories. The first one is product and Chui research, and the second one is model research. That is the two types of DDR. As for the product and Chui research, Alice and Levy asserted that DDR must go beyond commercial product development by determining a research problem based on existing research literature and gaps in the literature that researchers assert must be studied to add to the instructional design knowledge base. The product and Chui research can be further divided into three types. The first one is comprehensive design and development projects covering all phases of the instructional design process. The second one is specific project phases, such as those in the ADDI model. And last one is design development and use of tools. That is the first type, product and Chui research. Here I have provided you one table here. Let's check the first line. Type of DDR research, the product program and Chui development research. As we can see, the DDR focus is for life cycle design and development projects. As for the data collection methods, need and assessment, content analysis, service questionnaires, artifact development, in-depth interviews, observations, and evaluation methods are utilized in this DDR. In this case, we can see it is a mixed method research. And the researcher designer artifact examples have already been listed here. And as for the model research, the second type, model development can focus on a comprehensive model design or on part of a process. Model validation research uses empirical processes to prove the effectiveness of a model in practice. Model use research addresses usability typically from the perspectives of instructional designers and stakeholder experts. Model research can be further divided into three types. The first one is model development. The second one is model validation. And the last one is model use. Okay, that is the three types for model research. I have already also provided this table here. Let's have a check of the first line too. We can see the type of DDR research is model research, and the first one, it is model development, right? And the data collection methods include expert interviews, expert review, expert evaluation, nominal group technique, and focus group interviews. And here the researcher designer artifact examples have already been listed in this table here. And the second one, it is model use. The last one is model validation. All these three types can be called model research. Okay, and then we come to the fourth part. It is the ADDI model in DDR. Actually, I have already utilized this model in my research. So I think ADDI is a very useful research method for us all. Okay, let's have a check of the okay, the steps. There are 4 steps for ADD. Sorry, 5 steps for ADDI. Let's have a check in this picture. The first one is analyze, right? And second one is design. Next one it is development, and the first one is implement. Last one is evaluate. And each step will be conducted together with revision. Okay, so that is the basic steps of ADDI model. In the first phase, analyze phase, there will be some tasks for us to finish. The first one, it will be the need assessment or need analysis. Need assessment is a critical initial step in the DDR process or ADDI process, where educators identify the gaps in student learning, instructional materials, or teaching methods. The second one is learning objectives. Goal setting involves defining clear, measurable objectives that the DDR project aims to achieve. These goals serve as a roadmap for the entire design and development process. The next task is goal setting. Learning objectives are the specific of the observable outcomes that educators want students to achieve through the DDR project. These objectives guide the design of instructional materials and activities. The last one is the ADDI analysis in DDR. The ADDI analysis phase in DDR is where educators gather and analyze data to understand the context, needs, and goals of this project. And we have some questions to consider during the analyze phase. The first one is, what is the primary goal or outcome of this learning program? And the second one, who is the target audience and what are their existing knowledge levels? Third, what specific skills or knowledge gaps need to be addressed? And next, what are the organizational goals this training aligns with? And are there any constraints, such as time, budget, technology, that impact the training? The last one is, how will success be measured for this program? As for the second phase, it is a design phase, right? We need to consider the instructional strategies. During this phase, educators must select appropriate strategies that align with the learning objectives and the characteristics of the target audience. And the second, we need to consider the content development. Content development involves the creation of instructional materials based on the identified learning objectives and instructional strategies. Next part, it is the user interface design. User interface design focuses on how learners interact with the instructional materials. And last one is it will focus on ADDI design in DDR. The ADDI design phase in DDR is where educators translate the analysis findings into a structured plan for the instructional materials. We also have some questions to consider. The first one, what instructional strategies and delivery methods will best achieve the learning goals? Second, what is the structure and sequence of the content? Next, what types of assessments will be used to measure learning outcomes? And how will the content cater to different learning styles? Visual, auditory, kinesthetic. What tools and technologies will be used to support the design? And last one, how can you ensure the learning materials are accessible and inclusive? Next phase is development. We need to consider prototyping. Prototyping is an iterative process where educators create preliminary versions of the instructional materials. This allows for early testing and feedback, which can inform revisions. The second one is iterative development. Iterative development is where educators continuously refine and improve the instructional materials based on feedback and testing. The next one is testing and feedback. This phase evaluates the effectiveness of the instructional materials. This involves conducting pilot study with a small group of learners. Actually, a pilot study is very important in the development phase. And the last one is ADDI development in DDR. This phase builds the final version of the instructional materials. This phase involves integrating all design elements. And we also need to consider some questions which have already been listed here. The first one is what resources such as text, media, simulations need to be created or sourced. The second one, how will you test the developed materials for quality and usability? Next, are the materials engaging and aligned with the learning objectives? And how will feedback from stakeholders be incorporated into the development process? The last one is what version control or documentation practices will be followed during the development? That is about the development phase. And the next phase is the implement phase. During this stage, the materials created during development are introduced to the target audience and the learning process starts. There will be three procedures. First one is training the instructors, second, preparing the learners, and last one, preparing the environment. Implementation is the key stage of the ADDI process because information is transferred to the target audience. So this phase, it is very important for ADDI model. And we need to consider these questions. The first one, how will the training be delivered in person, online, or hybrid? What training or support do facilitators or instructors need to deliver the program? And how will learners access the materials, and are there technical considerations? The third one is what contingency plans are in place for technical or logistical issues? How will you trace and manage learner progress during the training? And last one, are there communication plans in place to keep stakeholders informed? This question we need to consider during the implement phase. In my thesis, actually, I have already designed the IAET teaching model, and in the implement phase, I have already used the experiment research. There are control group and the experimental group to compare the pre-test and post-test results. Okay, so that's these questions I have already considered in this phase. And the next one, it will be the evaluation phase. We need to consider the feedback, evaluation, and improvement. As for the feedback, learners' feedback is collected via post-training feedback, which take place directly after the training. Observations, productivity data, learning surveys, learning interviews have already been utilized for the evaluation. In my thesis, students have already finished some tests and the intercultural awareness questionnaire. Then I have already compared their pre-test and post-test to evaluate the efficiency of the model. Evaluate to what degree the training objectives were met, feed these results back to your stakeholders and inquire about their satisfactions with the training program. As for the improvement, there will be a list about the improvements to add to future programs so that no learning is lost. We also need to consider many questions here. The first one is, did the learners achieve the desired outcomes, and how was this measured? The second one, what feedback was collected from learners and facilitators about the program? And next one, were there any gaps or challenges observed during the implementation? The first one, how did this program impact organizational goals? Next, what changes or improvements should be made to the program? And the last one is, how will the long-term success and relevance of this training be monitored? These questions we need to consider during the evaluation phase. Okay, I also recommend very detailed steps for each procedure. I have already read this book during my thesis writing, and I found this is very helpful. So I recommend these steps for you. There are 21 steps. Let's have a check of the detailed steps for each phase. The first one, analyze, as we can see, the first step is validate the performance gap. The second one is determine instructional goals. And third one, confirm the intended audience. And the fourth one, identify required resources. And next one is determine potential delivery systems. And last one is compose a project management plan. Okay, that is for analyze. And for design, development, implement, and evaluate, there will be detailed introduction in this book. So I introduce this book to you. If you want to use the ADDI model for your DDR research, you can read this book. It's very helpful. Okay, so this part, we are going to check one paper use ADDI in education. Let's have a check of this example. We all know it is very important to read papers, to read other authors' research, to learn how to use some research method. Okay, here is a diploma thesis I've already found online. The title is The Development of an E-Learning Course According to the ADDI Method. So this research aims to develop e-learning course in 2012, right? It's a very advanced research in that time. Okay, here we are going to firstly check. Okay, let's have a check. Okay, there are detailed introduction steps for ADDI model. In phase one, analyze. The first step of ADDI model is analyzing learners' needs, right? And the course requirements for the future course participants had to be determined first. And then the researcher defined the target audience. And for the future online course English figurative language. And then to analyze learning needs in detail, the author decided to address the issue of multiple intelligence to differentiate different types of learners. Okay, the questionnaires and multiple intelligence have already been utilized in this part. And then it was necessary to consider the learning environment, pedagogical issues, models of delivery, clarity of instructions, as well as the timeline for the project. We just have a check briefly here. And this is a project's schedule. So if you want to use this in your thesis writing, you need to add many appendixes in the end. So it's very important. And the general student profile. The second phase is design phase. The second phase, design, dealt with the design of the future online course in particular, which should be properly considered to provide an attractive course to the future user to support their motivation. Let's have a check of the major points here. First, it was necessary to consider the course structure and arrange instruction into a logical sequence, dividing the content into units. And further, the learning objectives, content, resources, appropriate activities, and exercises, as well as assessment strategies, including due dates, had to be determined for each of the units and materials collected. That is about the course. And here it is the lesson template listed here. In my research, I have already created the IAT module, and my supervisor asked me to add one template for this module to make it more clear and detailed for the reader. It is very necessary. And the next phase is about a development phase. The main goal of this stage is not only to develop a quality course based on instructional design, but also to reduce deficiencies identified in the former course. Okay, after assembling the course content, it was uploaded into the online course through two basic module categories, that is resources and activities. There are many introductions and some lists here. And then we come to its action plan. It had to be written in detail. Next phase, it is about the implementation. The principal aim of this phase was to launch the course and to identify problematic areas in the Chui version that could be subsequently fixed in order to limit the deficiencies of the final course. In this case, the author decided to involve only one student in the Chui course to be able to apply blended learning and identify individual needs that could be eventually met. Actually, only one student for the online course. Maybe we need more students in the current time. And in the last phase about evaluation, let's have a check. Besides the course evaluation, it was necessary to evaluate the learner, that is, the participants of the Chui course, to discover whether the learning objectives set for the course were achieved. To sum up the last phase, considering all the outputs of the evaluation stage, the ADDI model appeared to fulfill the author's expectations, being efficiently applied to online language learning. Okay, that is the detailed steps, and then we need to check the very indispensable conceptual framework for this thesis. Sorry. Firstly, we can have check. This is the introduction of the original 5 steps of ADDI model, and it has already been introduced in detail. And this is the next part. It is the revised one listed here. And actually, I have already provided you the detailed 21 steps in that book. I think that one is better for your research in the current time. Okay, and that is the example for ADDI in education and its utilization in seated writing. And here we are going to continue the next part, DDR data collection. There will be 2 pictures for you to have a check. It has already described very clearly in the picture. The first one is about need analysis phase. Need analysis phase, we can use document analysis, interviews, observations, and surveys to collect data. And the evaluation phase, we can use interviews, observations, surveys, and key levels to evaluate, to collect data. And the next about the design and development phase, we can use expert reviews. In my research, because I have already designed the IAT model for the English study, so it is very important to find some experts to evaluate the contents of this model. Expert reviews is also very important for design and development phase. And the think loud protocols, focus groups, and usability testing. That is the DDR data collection methods listed here. You can choose which one is better for you for your research. And about the DDR data sources, okay, create new artifacts, lesson plan students get, facilitators, teacher get, choose models, products, programs, and prototypes. There will be some source of data. For example, existing artifacts, systems data, tool data, expert interviews, focus group interviews, and so on. Participant interviews, talk loud, think loud, focus group interviews, participant observations, evaluations, might use key levels, and need analysis, need assessment, design. In the need assessment part, there will be design documents. So that is DDR data sources. And then about the data analysis techniques, the first one is descriptive analysis. Descriptive analysis is used to summarize and describe the characteristics of a database data set. In DDR, this technique helps educators understand the distribution of scores, frequencies of responses, and central tendencies. The next one is the inferential analysis. Inferential analysis allows educators to make inferences about a population based on a sample. This technique is crucial in DDR for predicting outcomes, testing hypotheses, and determining the statistical significance of findings. The next one is qualitative data analysis. Qualitative data analysis involves interpreting and making sense of non-numeric data. In DDR, this method helps educators identify themes, patterns, and insights from interviews, observations, or focus group discussions. And the last one is data analysis in DDR. Data analysis in DDR is critical for interpreting the collected information and drawing conclusions. Researchers must select appropriate analytical techniques that align with their research questions and data types. Then we come to the part 6, DDR implementation. Actually, I have already found this example online. Let's have a check of it. Maybe it's not very clear because it's a screenshot picture. The first phase is analyze. Let's have a check. There will be a planning and needs assessment, problem identification and problem definition. And then the need analysis include researchers' experience, then the analysis, learning environment analysis, and a literature review. Then there will be a theory development or the design principles. In the design phase, the pre-production formative evaluation part. Let's have a check of this flow chart here. Design or concept works through established products criteria, and then it comes to the production formative evaluation part and installation design of the learning support. There will also be expert review and tryouts, or maybe we can call it a pilot study, and the prototype articulation. The last phase, it is implementation and evaluation. Implementation of formative evaluation, there will be revised design principles listed here. So we only check this flow chart here. And the next one, it is actually my thesis writing example here. In my thesis writing, I've already provide 3 phases. The first phase I call this phase is preparation phase, and the second one is development phase, and last one is experimental phase. Actually, this flow chart is suitable to for the DDR process. And in the first phase, I have already used the content analysis based on Cohen's 11 steps in order to find out the textbooks intercultural awareness. And then I utilize what I have found to the design design the model. In this development phase, I utilize the ADDI model. So this research, it has already combined ADDI with the DDR process. Okay, I have already utilized the ADDI to design the IAET model. Then the IAET model have already been implemented in the experimental phase in order to find out its efficiency. There will be some students, 52 students attend this research, and 26 in the experimental and 26 in the control group. There will be a pre-test of oral reading fluency, reading comprehension, vocabulary, and intercultural awareness. Also, there will be some post-tests in order to compare. So that is the DDR utilizing example in the flowchart or figure. And here I have already found some example about the DDR research, problem statement, purpose statement, and research questions. Let's have a check of the example here. As we can see, the example is from Johnny's problem statement here. The general problem is that there is a lack of motivation among high school students in America. And the research literature on the effects of the lack of motivation indicates that when high school students are not very motivated, it can lead to a higher probability of dropping out of school. And researchers found Snapchat specifically as a beneficial support intervention for students, especially since its usage is widespread globally. The specific problem to be addressed in this study is the lack of motivation in the high school classroom, which could lead to lifelong negative consequences. The study introduced Snapchat as a motivational teaching tool for high school students. In my doctoral thesis writing, actually, the first class to meet my supervisor have already taught us a very important part about problem statement. We need to follow some rules or principles in the problem statement writing. We not only one paragraph is not enough. We need to write different, such as the research background and some literature review in order to find the research gaps, and then you can focus on your solutions and what do you want to do in the problem statement part. So that is a very good example for us. And the next one, as we can see, it is the purpose of the study. It aims to describe the process used to integrate and evaluate Snapchat as an educational tool into an existing curriculum and its motivational influence on one cohort of teenagers. The goal is to understand the effect Snapchat has on student motivation in class through the experiences of a classroom teacher and student when Snapchat is integrated into the course curriculum. And there will be some questions listed here. The first one, I want to emphasize this part. Research questions is also very important in our thesis writing. It might be the soul of our thesis, so we need to make it very clear and very standard. Let's check the first one is how will Snapchat as an educational tool be integrated into the traditional course data? Second, how will students react to the addition of the Snapchat educational tool in the class? Next, how will the addition of the Snapchat tool and specific use of the tool affect student motivation? Last one, how will the teachers perceive the addition of the Snapchat educational tool as having an influence on student motivation in the class? Why did the teachers perceive this? So that is research questions. The example, it's utilizing DDR. We need to pay attention the research problem, research purpose, and research questions. This is the example. And the next one is one example for ADDI in education. Let's have a check the example paper. The title is employing DDR to design and development of flipped classroom and project-based learning module to applying design thinking in design and technology. It is published in 2021. Let's have track of the very we want just to read the thesis in detail because there are many introductions. So we will focus on a very important conceptual framework. As we all know, in Malaysia or in the world, the thesis writing, we need to focus on one very important thing. It is the research conceptual framework. It's a very indispensable for us all. So let's have a track of this research conceptual framework. There are 3 steps here. The first one is it is need analysis, and second one is design and development. Last one is evaluation, right? So in the first one, need analysis, it is very important to identify module development requirements. What do your teachers want? What do students want? And there will be a survey and semi-structured interviews and document analysis. Here, the role is a researcher, and the outcome will be module development needs. A second phase is design and development. Let's have a track of it. There will be many models in the literature review part. Maybe you can find many different models. They will help you to find what do you want in your research, right? So based on the previous modules, the researchers need to find out module content design, module objects, and module activities. It is a flipped classroom and project-based learning with design thinking and elements. Focus on the emphasize, define, and prototypes, tests, and so on. In this part, the role will be researcher and experts. Remember, expert reviews. And the outcome will be identify the main components and elements of the module. Then there will be a nominal group technique, expert consensus. In the module prototype development process, there will be preparations, provisions, and teaching materials, assessment of materials, authorship. And this part, the role will be focused on the experts, and the results will be module prototypes. In the last phase evaluation, there will be, of course, a pilot study, which is very important, and refining in order to refine the model. And the quasi-experiment is one type of the experimental research. Okay, in this process, the teaching and learning strategies will be finalized, and the application of design and thinking skills. The students' mastery will focus on design process knowledge, design process skills. And in this part, the role will be researcher, teacher, and student. The outcome will be to find out the module effectiveness. So that is the example. And then we come to the next part. It is about the future directions in DDR. Let's have a check of this part. The emerging trends in DDR might be a technological advancement. As researchers embrace advanced technologies, DDR will increasingly incorporate tools such as artificial intelligence, data analytics, and virtual reality. As we all know, AI, and VR is very popular in the current time. Actually, in China, I have just attended one teaching competition. Almost all teachers have already utilized or integrated artificial intelligence or virtual reality techniques in the teaching process. So maybe we can find out it is a technological advancement for DDR, especially in education. And the next one is globalization of DDR. This trend involves the sharing of research findings, methodologies, and best practices across different countries and cultures. DDR in diverse education settings might be also one trend. This includes research in special education, adult learning, and non-formal education environments. As for the special education, actually, I have already talked or discussed with one teacher in China's medical college. There are some students who are blind, and maybe that is the research trend for DDR in English education. And the next one is interdisciplinary approaches. Integration of interdisciplinary approaches, the use of open educational resource and the exploration of sustainable practices in education is also one of the trend for DDR. And this part is about DDR and policy development, maybe DDR in educational policy. In this part, actually, I have found one very important research problem is about our high vocational English educational textbooks in China. There need some educational policy for DDR. And the next one, DDR and policy implementation. And the policy value evaluation. The last one is DDR and educational policy making. That is DDR and policy development. I bet and I believe every researcher can have your understanding and ideas how to use DDR in your research field. And now it comes to the question and answers part. Do you have any questions? If you have any questions, we can discuss here. Actually, I just graduated from Lincoln, so there are many students. You are my classmates. Okay. Any of you want to share your idea? Oh, okay. I have already found one. Okay, one discussion here. How does DDR differ from traditional qualitative case studies or action research in education? Okay, actually, we have